Mercedes knew exactly what they were doing. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Mercedes news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel by hitting that red button down below. The first story is Brundle reveals Mercedes-Lewis Hamilton plan for the next F1 season. Sky Sports F1 pundit Martin Brundle believes that if Lewis Hamilton doesn't have confidence in securing his 8th championship title, he might already be contemplating Plan B. Both Hamilton and Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff have expressed their eagerness to secure the British driver's 8th Drivers' Championship. However, with Hamilton not achieving a race victory since Saudi Arabia in 2021 and Mercedes' performance not meeting expectations, the championship title may be slipping out of reach. This has led former driver Brundle to share his thoughts on Hamilton's pursuit of another world title and whether he is equipped to contend for it. "I think if Lewis senses that the 8th title is unachievable in a reasonable time frame, he'll be thinking of Plan B," said Brundle to the Sky Sports F1 column. "It depends if Lewis maintains his current motivation, but it's so close to call." Brundle also explored the possibility that Mercedes teammate George Russell could become a championship contender if Mercedes regained their competitive edge. "I think they're so close, those two, if you look at the stats, but George had a couple of nightmare races this year." "That's a very good question," Brundle added. "Lewis knows how to do that, but George has got youth on his side. I don't know the answer to that, but I definitely wouldn't say, 'Oh, Lewis without a doubt,' because he's already a 7-time champion. That I would absolutely not say. Until George is in a championship-winning position, we don't know if he's got the head to cope with it. We are yet to witness if Mercedes can contend with the frontrunners in the 2024 season, but it could set the stage for another teammate battle if Mercedes returns to dominance." Toto Wolff has admitted that Mercedes did not pay much attention to pit stops during its run of Formula One success, with the team now well behind rival squads. Between 2014 and 2021, Mercedes often held such an advantage over the field that any strategy mistake or slow pit stop could be wiped out by the performance of the car. However, as the field has converged in the ground effects era, quick pit stops are more vital than ever, although Mercedes is lagging well behind other teams. Red Bull and McLaren have become the class leaders, with the latter holding the world record after a 180 stop for Lando Norris in the Qatar Grand Prix, with Wolff conceding that Mercedes has fallen well behind. "Our mindset for the last 12 years was that we don't need to be world champions in pit stops. We just need to avoid slow pit stops," Wolff told media, including Racing News 365. "It is coming to a situation now where we realize because it has become so competitive, we just need to ramp our game out there. In terms of equipment and science around it, we will be making a step up to than 3.5 seconds." The second story is, Toto Wolff is building a superstar team with Mercedes for the next season of F1. Toto Wolff has given an insight into the key mentality that he tries to instill at Mercedes as they look to restore their past F1 glories. "A solitary win since the end of the F1 2021 season is a far cry from the totally dominant days and years that came before throughout F1's turbo hybrid era. Red Bull are now the respective kings and queens of the F1 castle, but Mercedes are trying their damnedest to take back the crowns that were once theirs." Toto Wolff reveals vision for Mercedes team building, irrespective of the tough times that have come over the last couple of the years. It was put to Wolff by one fan that a sense of family remains at Mercedes. Wolff said the key to that is ensuring there is a team which doesn't have a blame culture and not one that is full of egos. "You don't want to have a team of superstars, you want to have a superstar team," Wolff said in an end-of-season Q&A session. "That means working together is much more than just being colleagues and being on a professional journey. There's so much more to it, and if we know that we are an organization that empowers, that is a safe place, you can achieve so much more. Maybe not every single season, but overall, over the long term, you're going to be in a much better place." Asked what the most important factor of performance strategy is, Wolff replied, "I think there is no single most important factor. If you look at F1, you may believe that there is a silver bullet, something that unlocks all the performance in the car, but there isn't. It is all the work on the small items done properly. If you can put all of this together, then you have a winning package." Wolff also conceded that it has not always been the case where he has felt the need to rally the troops at Mercedes during the trying times. The opposite has needed to happen too. It wasn't always me that needed to boost the morale, he said. Sometimes I needed the support, and all of us together were trying to pass the baton to each other to perform best at any given moment. It's good that we have an organization where we support each other. F1 pundit Martin Brundle has said that Mercedes are no longer the force they once was after 2 disappointing seasons in the new regulations. The German team has been on a downward spiral in the last 2 seasons, ever since F1 switched to the ground effect regulations. The regulation has seen the team fumble with the zero sidepod car concept in 2022. The concept just did not work, and it was a surprise for many when the team persisted with it in 2023. Mercedes were able to win a race last season, but the 2023 season saw the team not win a race for the first time since 2011. Pointing to the talent exodus from the team in the last few years, Brundle wrote in his Sky F1 column that the team was a spent force in the sport. He wrote, "I think there's no doubt about it. Mercedes quite clearly are not the force they were, because they didn't get the 2022 car right, and they didn't fix it for 2023. And there has been a lot of personnel movement because they're obviously very attractive people from the era of total domination that they had." He added, "You see it in other sports, where a group of people seemingly just couldn't lose, and then all of a sudden, they can't win. It's really odd, and all it needs is a couple or 3 pieces of the jigsaw puzzle changing one way or the other. It's a mighty team, but they've got to align their stars again, and 2024 is a big year for Mercedes." Mercedes technical director James Allison has said that the team's performance in 2023 was the best possible after the start they had. The Silver Arrows did not start the season well. The W14 was considered the 4th fastest car on the grid by many. Mercedes recovered from that to finish P2 in the championship by the end of the season. Talking to Sky F1, Allison said, "Considering where the car we launched was, P2 was the absolute upper bound of what the team could achieve, and we did a good job of getting there. That does actually feel surprisingly good, albeit slightly in conflict with our desire to be unequivocally the best team. But we have lots of assets. The team itself is full of very strong engineers, an operation that will be the envy of many." He added, "Notwithstanding a few mistakes that we made here and there during the year, and a driver lineup that I think all teams would look at with an envious eye, we've got, in one of our drivers, arguably the most successful person who's ever sat behind the wheel of a racing car, and, in the other one, a very, very promising younger man in George Russell." The 2024 F1 season is crucial for the Brackley-based team, as after 2 poor seasons, they will be hoping for a better run at the front. The third story is Mercedes could get 2024 F1 car wrong by changing every component. Mercedes concedes that it could get its 2024 Formula One car wrong amid its decision to change virtually every component in an attempt to return to winning ways next season. Despite beating Ferrari to 2nd place in the constructors' standings, the German marque endured its first winless season since 2011 and wound up 454 points behind Red Bull, who triumphed in all but 1 race. Following a breakthrough victory at the end of last year, Mercedes had elected to retain faith in its zero-pod solution that it had run since the start of the latest regulation cycle. But while the team reversed that with upgrades in Monaco, Mercedes remained hindered by the architecture of the launch-spec W14 under the cost cap restrictions. Mercedes has revealed it will pursue a new philosophy next season, but team boss Toto Wolff remains cautious about the side's chances of reviving its title credentials. "I have never in my life felt optimistic about anything," Wolff expressed in Abu Dhabi, which makes it sound miserable, but it has protected me about managing my expectations and pushing harder because I think it is never good enough. Expanding on the modifications being made to its W15 Challenger, Wolff explained, "So we are changing the concept. We are completely moving away from how we laid out the chassis, the weight distribution, the airflow. I mean, literally, there is almost every component that has been changed because only by doing that do we have a chance." However, Wolff admits the extent of the alterations being made behind the scenes at Brackley could backfire and result in Mercedes struggling for a 3rd straight year. "We could get it wrong also, so between not gaining what we expect to catching up, making a big step and competing at the front, everything is possible," he continued. "If you ask me today, there is always skepticism, but that is the mentality in the team that pushes us forward to never give up. Wolff noted that improving one place to second in the standings this season left him with a bittersweet feeling as he considered the position to represent that it had lost P1. After Lewis Hamilton said he expects Red Bull to remain the benchmark in 2024, Wolff is aware of the unenviable task Mercedes has in catching the reigning champions. There is a Mount Everest to climb to catch up with Red Bull, the Austrian issued. I have no doubt that McLaren is going to be right in the mix next year. Maybe Aston Martin, maybe others, insofar as we must leave no stone unturned, which we do in Brixworth and in Brackley. As tough as it is to be reminded that it is just P2, it's also a great opportunity to come back and strive for the stars. Initials followed by a number seem to be all the rage in elite sport these days.